Hey, my name is Mr. Jones and I teach orchestra. We used a beginning open string play along for our 6th grade this year, and I was thinking some of my students would really like to see more challenge on that, so I'm putting it out on my own channel, and this is the chords for All-Star. So you can impress your friends or annoy your friends, your choice. Well, their choice, I suppose, how to receive the musical grace that is
Smashmouth.
Anyways, we'll work through the chords, and I think I have chords for viola and violin that should work. They're not as easy on viola and violin, but I'm a cellist, so maybe it is easy. Prove me wrong. And there's probably some better voicings maybe too. If you have some, let me know. I'd love to see your ideas too. So I'll start with
The
chords that we play, and if you didn't know, a chord is when you play 3 notes at once, kind of is the definition of a chord. We're not going to really be able to play all 3, but we'll use the shapes to make things like, I'll just play it for you. Should I sing it? Somebody once told me the world is gonna roll me. I ain't the sharpest tool in the shelf. Okay? Get practicing, you'll be able to do it too, and how great is that?
well, depends on who you ask.
The chords that they use over and over and over again, because pop music, hey, classical music does it too. You know, Pachelbel's canon, same chords over and over again. Mozart's pretty repetitive at times too, but in a different way, let's say. So the chords that they use, they play the song in the key of F sharp, which I don't really want to teach you F sharp and D sharp and A sharp minor, or well, I guess we'd convert it to flats. It'd be easier to say in flats. So let's deal with that another day and just move everything up a half step, and we're in the key of G. So these won't be the same as the recording, but it'll be a half step higher, but the shapes will be a lot easier, okay? So we'll play a G major chord, and I'll put the fingerings here, the chord shapes here for violin, viola, and cello. Basses, I don't know enough about exactly where to put things for bass, but I have some friends who do. I bet there's a way to get the chords for you too. And generally the bass is going to play our bass line, you know. And more interesting bass lines than that. So think of octaves, think of connecting lines between the notes. So basses, that would be your job. So G chord, and what we do for the violins, the violas and cellos, I'll say the cellos first. Open G, open D, and 1 under A makes a G chord. And then the same thing for the violas, open G, open D, first finger on the A. And then for violins too, open G, open D, and open A. Sorry, first finger on A. So you can roll that chord by playing the bottom 2 and then hitting the top 2, or you can practice going bouncy bow, attack from above. For rock music and pop music, we can do that a lot of the time. Then when it comes to the D chord, violin, viola, and cello, I'll start with cello. If you build the chord one by one, it's 1 on our C string, and then you have to bar your finger. It's called a bar in guitar, and we lay it down on 2 strings, so 1 on the G as well. That takes some hand strength to develop, and if your hand is hurting, take a break and stretch, do some yoga, drink some water, come back to it. Take pictures of yourself and video of yourself and see if you're tightening in some places that other people usually don't seem to be tightening, because there's usually a reason. Sometimes your instrument's just hard to play too, so be careful. 1 and 1, and then 3 on the D string, and that could be your chord right there if you don't want to add any more. But then, because we can fit 1 more finger in here, 4th finger on the A is kind of the full chord. That's a fun chord to play for D. So for viola, it'll work the same way, except you'll have some different fingerings. Your 1 on your C, your 1 on your G, and your 2 on your D, because they stretch up to 2, and they're 3 on your A. So I can't show it in cello, it stretches my fingers too far. But I have to use a 3 and a 4. Okay, and then violin, you're slightly different. You'll have your open D, and then your open A, and then your first finger on your E string. Okay, that'll make a D chord for you. So the next chord is A minor. Cellos, first finger on your A, first finger on your D, second finger on your A. Okay, same thing for viola and same thing for violin too. Violin has to jump around a little bit. There's probably some better voicings for this for violin, but again, cellist, so hey. It'll be 1 on your G, 1 on your D, this is violin and viola, and then low 2 on your A because it's a C natural. If you play high 2 on your A, you're going to hear a major chord, which is not bad, but in this case it sounds funny. Takes us to a new place. Sounds like we're going into Beatles territory there. So make sure that C natural is really nice low 2 C natural. Last chord is a C major chord, cellos and violas. This is just the gift from the universe. Moment when you get to learn this chord. It was for me too. I remember learning this. And I would play that and people would say, oh wow, that's so great. And I said, yeah, that's neat, isn't it? So when you play a big open C chord, the world opens up all of its possibilities and answers to you. Open C, and then your open G also, and then 1 on your D, 2 on your A, C natural. So that's a C major chord. And if you go back and forth between the G and the C, you make that cool sound. Great entrance music, yeah? So that's your C chord. Same thing for violas, except you're going to use a low 2 instead of just your 2. So it's a low 2 C natural, so open C, open G, 1 on your D, low 2 on your A, right? And then violin, you have a slightly different thing, and this is where I'm at the edge of my knowledge. It's going to be sort of hard, and there's some other options, but I think this is the best one to try and explain, and give it a shot. If you put your first finger down on your 3rd position G string, so where your 3rd finger normally goes, slide your 1 up to that, and then lay it down either as a bar, or sometimes you can squish your finger on both strings. So a 1 on both, or sometimes you kind of rock your finger as you play the chord. Like if you play the low note, you go this way, and then you rock that 1 slightly over to catch. Some people's fingers can cover both at the same time. So viola, if you have any of those bar chords too, you do on the D chord, same thing. You can kind of roll your finger from one to the next one as you play. Okay, cellos we can usually cover both. And I know a lot of violinists and violists that can do both strings at one time. So this last chord for violins is up in 3rd position, right where our 3 used to be, on the G string, and you bar that, or you push both of them down, or you rock in the same place on your D string, straight over, and then on your A string, you'll put a 3 down, and it'll be a whole step to that space. You could probably put a 2 there. In violin world, you could stretch, but I think 3 fits better. It's only a whole step, so maybe 2 feels better on your instrument. Yeah, up here probably, yeah, so. Okay, so I could demonstrate it on here, but I think it's best if I just give you those shapes again and roll through them with you a couple times. And then I'll teach you the middle part, the chorus, which has kind of this James Bond chromatic creeping kind of thing. It's kind of funny when you listen to it. It doesn't quite sound right, but it is pretty close to what they do. And we can get close on here. It's really a good guitar thing. So here's the chords slowly. Here's G major, and then D major, F sharps, and then A minor, and then C. So let's take it slowly through. There's a 1 and a D, the 3 and a 4, and a 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. We could even go slower if you need to, but want to keep moving forwards. A way to make that kind of a rhythmic background would be to play the bass note of each chord, and then the top note returning to the bass. So, boom, boom, chicka, boom, boom, chicka, boom, boom, chicka, boom, boom, chicka, boom. Okay? Each chord would sound like this then. I know that's not the right rhythm of the guitar. Tick, 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 tick. I think that's how they do it. You could figure it out though. But for now, just keep it simple. Same pattern every time. Okay? Now when you get to hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, get paid. those are the words. We have to do some pretty kind of tricky stuff. I'll put it up on the screen. Here's the first one. It's a G chord. 4 cellos, 4 on your D, 1 on your A. Now that hand shape position takes a little bit of thought and practice, and at first you might not get great sounds, but every day you try it, it'll get easier. Remember to let your fingers hang on the string. You really don't have to pinch. Cellos, we've got this kind of ease of letting our arm do some of the work. As long as you keep those nice round fingers, you can let your arm weight do some of the pinching for you, right? So try to relax. So 4 and 1. Now violins and violas, that's just a 3 on your D string and a 1 on your A string. And again, for you, it's a little bit of a balancing act too, and you have to make sure you have great posture to be able to get that 1 to tuck inside as you play it. But and your first sounds when you play double stops like this, we call these double stops because there's only 2 notes. That's an organ reference, a pipe organ reference if you've never heard of that. They're called double stops. So take a little bit of finagling, and it might not sound great, but you could just play the A string notes and it still sounds close to the thing. People will still sing along with you. So that's kind of a G chord, the beginning of a G chord. Then we're going to change to that first finger to a C natural. So cellos, you're just going to change here too. And that's where my hand starts to feel a little bit tight. So be aware of yourself. And it's really hard to keep it in tune. Good thing pop music, we just keep moving through the chords so you never hear the intonation very much. Well, kinda. They're not perfectly in tune, but if you're dancing and singing and there's other music going on, people have a forgiving ear for pop music sometimes. Then violins and violas, same thing for you, changing from the first finger on A to 2 on A, but it'll be a low 2. So you're going to have kind of that stretched out feeling too, because you're going to be on 2 different strings, and your low 2 and 3 are going to be a whole step apart. So it goes G and B, 3 and 1, 4 and 1, and then 4 and 2 for cello, 3 and 2 for violin, viola, and then continue that movement up the A string to the C sharp. Cellos 3, and violins and violas, you're going to have to scoot your 2 up. So you have a 3 on the D, 2 on the C sharp. And this is a special note. You can spend a lot of time listening to this one. It's got so much tension in it. We call it a tritone. There's a whole bunch of information about that. And again, tuning it, you can really spend a lot of time getting it perfectly in tune, and it's good for you to do. But for this stuff, as long as you're close. Okay, and if you just can't do the G on the D string at the same time, you can still do this. And I guess if you played on the D string, playing that note, it doesn't quite sound as good as the other way, but you can still get close. And then move up a half step, and then a half step again. It sounds a little funny, but that might work for some parts. Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, get paid. Hey now, you're an all-star, get your done. I wanna finish, cause this song has a different part, and when I'm done with it, you'll know the whole song. Sorry for probably making you sick, so out of tune. I can play in tune, I swear. So once you've done that James Bond theme a few times, I'm not very good at the chop. Probably some rhythmic chopping in there would be good. Be careful with your bow. Coming out of it the last time, I think you played it 3 times. Coming out of it, you start with the B, first finger again, and now we're going to go sort of down to an F major chord, or at least the bottom part of an F major chord, an F and an A. 2 on your D, low 2 for violin and viola, and then open A. 2 on your D, F natural, low 2, and then A. And then we're going to jump down to a C chord again, but not the one we've used before because it doesn't sound right. We'll play it on our G string, 4 cellos, and 1 on our D. And then violas, that's your 3rd on your G and 1 on your D. So this is the end of the Only Shooting Stars, Break the Mold. Did I sing that right? I don't know. So 3 times through the chromatic James Bond thing. Hey now, you're an all-star, get your game on, get paid, something, 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 all that glitters is gold, only shooting. So back to the first part, G, stars, now the F natural chord with an A, break the, now G string 3 or 4, and 1 on the D, a C major, double stop. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, Smashmouth hasn't earned a place in my brain yet for lyrics. If over time, if it still persists, I'll learn the words. But they haven't stuck with me yet. Actually, I'm just really bad at words. Is that everything? Yeah, you can do it with plucking too. And basses, of course, you have to learn a bass line. Playing the roots of the chords G, G, D, A, C, and walking in between them. And of course, there's a whole world of how to be a bass player there that I won't dive into. If you're plucking it, and even like guitar style violins and violas, just be careful. You can kind of do this kind of thing too. So I go like this, cellos. I like to hit my thumb on the open G, and then I let my fingers kind of like a ukulele strum. So I catch the upper notes, and if you trap your notes, you can make a shorter sound. So I'm trapping it with my finger, although I've learned that through guitar and other things for years and years and years. If that doesn't come right away, just play it straight. And I want to give cellos and violas a special thing, especially when you're strumming on the D chord. You don't have to put the whole thing down. Your ear will kind of hear everything it needs to if we just cheat a little bit and we play first finger on C and then just hit the open D and A. Because the only thing that's missing is that third F sharp. And it does sound more like the song because the guitar player does use that F sharp. But if your hand's getting tired, if you can't quite get that one, you can really just hit 1 on the C. Aren't you glad you waited till the end of the video and watched the whole thing? You got the secret, easy way to play the D chord. Okay? So you can do this kind of thing. Thumb, flick, thumb, flick, thumb, flick. And you can throw in the bass line, oops, and then mess up the beat. I think I've said enough. So there's your chords and how to play it. I hope that helps. Let me know if there's anything else I can do. See you next time.